Welcome to Snark Theater, where backfishing gets blasted. Well, folks, it's a new year, and we all know what that means. New opportunities, new horizons to be explored, and new expectations for what the future will bring. And today, that includes my fellow guest, Lac the Watcher.
Hey, everybody! Good to be here. Except for the fact that I have to endure this stupid book, but...
Agreed.
Unfortunately, this also means more Narcissus in chains, starting with chapter 36. And if you thought we got through the worst in 2010, you were sadly mistaken, because in this episode, there's another sex scene.
No. It's not true. That's impossible. No!
Lips ripe as the berries in June. Red the rose, red the rose. Skin pale as the light of the moon, gently as she goes.
If you're still with us, you are a very brave soul. Honestly, I've been dreading coming to these next 5 chapters, if only for the fact that they contain some of the worst writing I have ever had the displeasure of reading. I would like to note one thing before we start, though. The reason I hate the upcoming sex scene is not because it contains semi-consensual sex like with Anita and Micah. Oh no, it's consensual. It just takes 9 pages for the sex to be over and done with. That's right, 9. Mostly because the 2 people participating in the sex won't shut the hell up. But I digress. It's better to show than tell, so let's get started.
Chapter 36 opens with Anita in her bedroom at dawn, with Nathaniel providing his usual tasty semi-jailbait eye candy for her. The lampshade caught red highlights in his auburn hair, where it gleamed down the side of his body like something warm and alive, almost separate. Strangely, in were-leopard form, he was a Black Panther, so that auburn hair vanished once he left his human form. I'm sorry, why is this relevant? I swear, Hamilton is so good at filler that she could write episodes of Bleach and Naruto if she wanted to. But no, the point of this bit is to tell us that Nathaniel was the only were-leopard who remained in human form after they healed Gregory in the last chapter, and he did so specifically so he could sleep with her in bed. That's not creepy at all!
Can I keep you?
Merle comes in moments later with an announcement. Your old Frank is in the kitchen. He did look uncomfortable then. He is crying.
There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball.
I can't even begin to describe how pathetic this is. Words escape me. The bitchification of Richard Zeman, former heartthrob Boy Scout, is now complete. He is sitting in a kitchen in a house full of shape-shifting monsters, crying. I don't know how much more of this shit I can take at this point.
I'm not sure which part is worse, though. The fact that Richard is crying, or the fact that Anita is disappointed that he's crying because she wanted to have sex with him instead.
I sighed. Although I was tired, I was excited at the thought of Richard being in the house, of him coming to me, maybe. Instead of sex, we were going to have another session of hand-holding and shoulder crying. Damn it. I walked to the table, stood close enough to touch his bare shoulder, not sure if I should. Richard, what's wrong? He shook his head, still not looking at me. Alright, that does it. First he throws a jealous baby fit because Nathaniel was cuddling up to Anita. Then he forces someone to change into a werewolf violently. And now he's crying and won't even tell her what's wrong. Fuck this shit. I am no longer calling this character by his real name. I have now dubbed him Bitchard. That is his name now. You have to be as tired as I am, Richard. What's keeping you up? He looked down then up, and there was so much sorrow in his dark eyes that I almost said no, don't, but he needed to talk.
Louisiana's in jail and Guy is dead.
I frowned. I don't know the names.
Louisiana is one of our newest wolves. He looked down again, not meeting my eyes. Guy is her fiancé, husband, was her husband. He covered his face with his hands, shaking his head over and over and over. Louisiana killed the guy on their honeymoon yesterday. I got the call just before I came here.
I still don't understand. It's awful, tragic, but...
I was her sponsor. I trained her to control her beast. And she lost that control on her honeymoon in the middle of... He lowered his head. I raised my hands so that his forehead rested against the back of my hands.
She lost control in the middle of sex, I finished for him.
He nodded, his face still pressed to my hands. Losing her virginity, he said, voice muffled low.
Did you say virginity?
Yes.
Wow. Wow, Book. That's pretty damn screwed up if you ask me. Though I do admit that at least Bichard's crying is legitimate, this situation personally ticks me off. We find out that Bichard trained her completely for dealing with her beast, but Louisa had pledged not to have sex before she was married, so they didn't practice. Anita then gets all stone cold and disapproving on Bichard for respecting her wishes. I suppose Hamilton assumed we would side with Anita on this issue, but that's garbage if you ask me. I think Bichard did the right thing. He completed all of the training, explained everything to Louisa the way he was supposed to, and he respected her beliefs rather than forcing his own down her throat. That is actually an admirable character trait, and even though it went south, I find it far more commendable than taking away something as important as a woman's first time. That is the very core of the idea of choice. Louisa deserved the right to share herself with her husband on their wedding night, and Bichard is a better character for trying to help her to the best of his ability. Now, granted, he should have addressed the issues that arise between lycanthropy and sex when he was teaching her, but Anita looking down her nose at him just makes me hate her even more than usual. I mean, think about it. That would entail a virgin girl having to have sex in front of other pack members to make sure that she doesn't shift. I can't imagine having to do something like that, and yet we're supposed to think that Bichard is a fool for not forcing her to do that. Sorry, but that's not how I roll.
Bichard cries his eyes out in Anita's lap for a bit before he regains control and remembers he's not a 12-year-old emo kid, and they switch subjects. Earlier, he was thinking of appointing her to Bulwark, which is a position in the pack that entails doing evil deeds. Yeah, that sounds like Anita's department, all right. He says it's because Jacob is planning to fight Sylvie, and is afraid Sylvie will die. Anita isn't totally against this idea, because she had been studying about the position with Vern, the leader of the wolf pack in Tennessee, during the events of the Obsidian Butterfly. God, I wish I were reading that right now.
Anita, of course, lays some words of wisdom on him after they discuss things. The only true happiness, Richard, lies in knowing who you are, what you are, and making peace with it. I'd believe her if she didn't spend this book and every book after it complaining about who and what Bichard is to other people and to his face. Apparently her wannabe Dalai Lama proverb makes Bichard hot and they start making out on the kitchen floor like a couple of horny puppies. Great! It's time for the horrible sex.
I'm very happy we're going to have all the sex.
We begin chapter 37 with Bichard carrying Anita to the bedroom and setting the mood by saying he wants to run his beast through her.
Ha ha! Dangly parts.
Rather than a stupid double entendre, this is actually a process where Bichard runs his metaphysical beast through Anita's body because apparently it's quite pleasurable. I don't feel like subjecting you to this totally stupid and pointless scene just because repeating it out loud may cause your head to explode!
I can't believe your head exploded.
As you can guess, afterwards, Bichard and Anita start knobbing each other's brains out. Which brings me to the biggest flaw in the recent Anita Blake novels. Anita's inability to shut up and have sex. I am not joking. Halfway through their boffing, Anita stops to ask Bichard why he's so different from the first time they had sex. He explains that now that he thinks she's going to be a were-leopard, he doesn't have to hold back anymore. They have a 2-page conversation about this in mid-coitus. Why was Richard's change in sexual behavior of any relevance to this scene? Why does she feel the need to say anything? We don't care! Take a hint from Nike and just do it. Thankfully, they finally finish and we open on chapter 38 with them cuddling and smooching in bed when the Ardeur awakens. Richard gets pretty creeped out as he feels her beast calling to his, and then we get possibly one of the most baffling similes in the history of fiction. I could feel his fear like a fine champagne.
What the fuck does that mean?
Seriously, what the hell does this mean? Is this for your bubbly? Does it make her drunk? Does she want to spray it on people in celebration? There's no further explanation for this idiotic comparison. It's just stuck there in the middle of the paragraph like a half-chewed wad of bubblegum. She's not even trying anymore. God!
Despite that literary abortion, Anita feeds the ardor from Bichard's touch, and he doesn't exactly feel so sexy anymore since he never consented to it. Furthermore, she broke Bichard's big damn rule, which is no one feeds off of him. He points out that this used to be Anita's rule too, and that he can't handle having to do that with her in the future. And then he descends into his all-time bitchiest moment.
You want honesty? Fine, we can have honesty. I hate what I am. I want a life, Anita. I want a real life. I want to be free of all this. I don't want to be Ulfric. I don't want to be a werewolf. I just want a life. And I don't want to love someone who is more at home with the monsters than I am.
Oh, God. Where do I even start? First, let's get this out of the way. Second, this is quite possibly his lowest moment in the series. I could replace every single line in that rant with the sound of a baby crying. Oh, boo-hoo, I'm a powerful werewolf, but I just want to be a normal science teacher with a normal life and normal friends and a normal girlfriend. Wah, wah, wah. Third, this is just another example in the crowning achievement of shitty writing. Hamilton is literally spoon-feeding us what Bichard's problem is in this scene. Bichard's struggle with his lycanthropy had formerly been addressed in scenes from Lunatic Cafe, The Killing Dance, and Burn Offerings. But creating drama through his actions isn't good enough. Oh no, we need to have him just announce how he feels because the readers are too dumb to catch on at this point. There's a rule for that in the writing world, honey. It's called show, don't tell. And I personally think that someone needs to show you the door so you won't have to tell us anything else about your shitty-ass books.
As you can imagine, Bichard's rant turns Anita into a sobbing wreck, and all the were-kitties come up and cuddle with their mommy so she'll feel better. She cries herself to sleep, if you can believe that, and wakes up around 5 o'clock in the afternoon with Cherry, Zane, and Nathaniel all in her bed with her. She insists that she needs to get up and gets dressed, which means that she must have realized she's a damned adult who's supposed to have a job and whatnot. She dresses and finds a crowd in the kitchen of the were-leopards and Raphael's bodyguards, Igor and Claudia, who are still guarding her for the time being. Although by now I have forgotten why, because I don't care. But finally, something interesting happens when Caleb goes to answer the door.
I had the brownie out and pointed at the door, sighted two-handed when the first snake man came through the kitchen doorway with Caleb in front of him, a sawed-off shotgun pressed into the angle of his jaw. Anyone moves and he dies.
The snake man tells them that the reason for their intruding is that their boss wants to talk to Anita. Sure, because bringing in tons of mooks to her home and threatening her pack is the best way to go about that. Predictably, Anita and her company blow him to Kingdom Come and set out to kill the other snake men surrounding the house.
After getting their scaly butts kicked, the snake men escape and Micah reappears, having fought them outside in his were-leopard form. Unfortunately, the were-rat Igor was killed in the crossfire and Claudia was badly injured. You'd expect Anita to be sympathetic or upset, but she doesn't give it much attention.
Are you serious? No! I'm done! You're on your own for this one. I'm finished. I can't do it anymore. No.
But this is your house!
I don't care!
Well, thanks a lot, book. I lost my guest reviewer because of you. Screw this crap. I'm out of here, too. See you next time, folks.